good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another week of the Simple Playz podcast. I'm Sid Thompson. I'll be your host. We're going to go in and do our quick introductions with, of course, the Rev. I'm going to turn over to Rev and introduce everybody as you do so eloquently, sir.
Well, thank you, Sid, and welcome back, everybody, to the Simple Playz. We want to introduce our pro host, straight out of time tonight, Eulich Booker. He was our Super Bowl champ as well as our Michigan State Spartan. He is off tonight. Also want to introduce our other pro host. He's straight out of 10 teams, maybe 11. I don't know. But the last one was the Kansas City Chiefs. He's straight out of Kansas City. It's Steve Martin, former Kansas City Chief. Our NFL coach, hailing from the sandy beaches of somewhere really sandy and really beachy, is Randy Hansen. I'm going to go straight out of Oakland because, you know, I consider you a whether or not you're living there or not, it's Oaktown for me.
All right.
Our super fan tonight, wherever he's at, is coming to you. Where's Will from Swag Rags? Everything that you see, everything that you hear is brought to you by Bison Graphics. We're real excited about a new piece that we're bringing with Jeremy Johnson, our fantasy football guru, who will be bouncing information off of our NFL coach as well as our NFL players. He's our captain. Well, he's our co-captain. He just had another baby. Well, he didn't. His wife did. He could count to 3 on 2 fingers. It's Brian Newdall, our stat guy. Last but not least, he's the he's the Captain Jack Sparrow to our Pirates of the Caribbean. He has less hair now, but certainly more wisdom. He's our host. He's straight out of, I don't know what you're straight out of, Sid. He's straight out of CBD gummies because his aunt won't call it back. It's Sid Thompson. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your other host. I'm the Rev. I'm straight out of time. All right? I got to get out of here. But welcome, everybody, to the Simple Playz.
Rev, as usual, congratulations. Awesome job. You did it all so well. So, gentlemen.
It drives my dog nuts, by the way.
I didn't catch that, but it's probably a good I didn't.
That intro drives my dog nuts.
Oh, okay. Maybe he needs some CBD gummies to take and calm down.
Right. Yeah, but straight out of them. So there it is.
All right. Well, gentlemen, let's start out. We're going to talk a little sports here. We're going to have a guest on tonight, by the way, in a different sports avenue later on, about 7:20, 7:30. We're going to talk a little esports, which is huge industry now, and collegiate level getting bigger and bigger as well. So, but to start it out, guys, quickly to kind of round around a few topics, one of which, right out of the chute, we've been talking about this guy. It's the gift that keeps on giving. It's Deshaun Watson. I got to bring him up. Supposedly, he's going to start in the preseason opener, and supposedly Mr. Goodell is all over him like a cheap suit on a salesman, from what I'm hearing. So, what say you, gentlemen? Who wants to start on that topic?
He's starting Friday against the Jaguars.
Well, you know.
Go ahead, Steve-O.
Yeah, you know, I'm not condoning anything he did whatsoever. Not advocating that he didn't do stuff with these women. I'm not saying any of that. My biggest statement is, where's the criminal claim? If there's no criminal claim, you can't hold him liable. Period. So the civil claims, that is literally, I could file a claim against anybody I want to, anytime I want to. I could say, you took my gummy bears, my CBD oil, and yeah, you guys we're in different cities. And if I make that claim, it can stick on the record and stay there until it's adjudicated. and then the system's able to drag it out, never have a hearing, never have a deposition, never have anything. So to me, it's the egregious part of the league. And like I said, I'm not telling you he's innocent by no means. All I'm saying is, if you got a valid claim against the man, bring it. If you don't, leave him alone. That's the bottom line. And that's what pisses me off about this, because they did this to Brown when he left LA. And then they did it to who else did they do it to? No, it's Tim Brown, I guess, both times.
What about Ben Roethlisberger? Did Ben Roethlisberger get 6 games reduced to 4 for the same thing?
Pretty much.
Good point.
So
here's my other question. Didn't the NFL put this in arbitration, and an arbitrator gave him a 6-month suspension, but now they want to appeal their own suspension?
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. Why are you're the one that said go to arbitration?
And don't hate on Deshaun. Don't hate on Deshaun for using the appeal system. Everybody who's ever been a part of any kind of system that's allowed for an appeal has used it. Why? Because that's letting the thing process and run its course.
I believe he's going to get 4 games. 4 games. This is a setup. This is a setup. They've never played on. I hope it anyway.
We'll see what happens on this, gentlemen. I know Roger Goodell is trying to pump his fist a little bit and show his power now, so we'll see what happens. But
Smoky mirrors.
Yeah,
I tell you Antonio Brown, by the way. I said Tim Brown. It's Antonio Brown.
Goodell may need to worry about a few more other things, like his boy over there in Miami. You know, I mean, they got problems brewing in Washington because somebody's stuffing in subpoena. So
I tell you what, guys. The only thing missing is this should be on court TV because, hey, this has got nothing on Johnny Depp and his ex-wife. That'd be talk about some ratings they could have with this. Yeah. So anyway, but going from that, I hate to bring it up, but I got to bring up something else too. That was a coach making a faux pas, a terrible faux pas. Was Cale Gundy over at Oklahoma. He's out. He resigned. Zach and I talked about this, and Zach, you know more about probably in the background, but I think he was basically reprimanding a player in a meeting, and he was on his iPad, and he took it, and his way of reprimanding it was reading what was on the iPad, and something was said that should not have been said, and he wishes he could take it back, but he can't, so he simply resigned.
What are the magic words that you can't say on TV, besides the ones that George Carlin said you can't use, like the magical N-word or the C word, or what are those other words?
Yep, we'll just leave it at that. That's my understanding.
Everybody goes, yep. Hey, that right there is the reason why he's gone, guys. He read it off of a player's tablet. So it was already done. But because he decided to read it, he's out of a job. He'd been at that school for what, 20-some years?
Yeah.
He played there.
Played there.
For him.
Yep.
That's right.
He's quarterback there, right?
Yes, exactly. He was.
Yeah.
And brother Mike,
here's what I think happened. I think all of a sudden they told him you're going to get suspended or you're going to be gone or whatever. And he goes, you know what? I've been doing this a long time. I am not going to put up with this anymore. I am going to go sit on the beach just like Coach Hansen and sip a couple cocktails, and I'm done.
I don't know if that's the deal. I think he wants to coach. I think there might be something going on more than this. There might be some other things that happened before this, and this just was the final straw.
Yeah, it might have been the tipping point, Randy, just like you said. Might have been the tipping point. He's only 50 years old, so he's got a lot of time left in him.
All I got to say is y'all better thank the Lord that Woody Hayes isn't coaching these days. I mean, that Bear Bryant isn't coaching these days, because we're in a different day and age where a word can hurt your feelings. And I have a feeling those guys didn't really care about feelings back then. I mean, the whole Baton Death March that Bear Bryant made them do at Texas A&M, and obviously we know about Woody Hayes not afraid to, jump off the boundary and maybe, throw a clothesline or two. Different day and age, guys. Different different kind
Frank
of kid.
Kush.
Too.
Frank
Yeah,
Kush.
right. That's all I'm saying. Let's go from hurt feelings to he broke my jaw. I mean, there it is, or whatever. So,
Well, I'm gonna go with Randy on that one though, because it's for to be there that long and one word screw you up. There's probably some more. There's some
gotta
more
be.
chicken in that pot.
I agree.
He's the one that broke the back though. I will say that. I agree with that. He probably broke the back.
Well, who knows? Maybe he'll end up coaching with his brother. Isn't his brother over at Oklahoma State? Maybe he'll take a little time off and say, "Hey, bro, can you get me back in the game?"
I wonder how that's a relationship that works.
Well, brothers on the same team or in the coaching staff? We know we don't have an example of one that worked. I don't.
There's no nepotism in the NFL. That doesn't exist.
Never.
At all.
None. Zero.
No
nepotism in the
none
NFL.
whatsoever. So. Hey, a couple other things too was kind of spinning a little bit different talking about in sports and sports. Just we were talking about football, but I don't know if you guys follow. I'm not a big tennis fan. I used to follow tennis back when it was fun back in the '70s when McEnroe and that was playing. But I know Serena Williams. I guess she's finally calling it quits. I mean, I guess if you're considering a female athlete, she would be considered the GOAT of that sport, and of course made a lot of money in that sport, and I'm sure she'll go on in ownership somewhere, somehow, in some sport, whether it be tennis or whoever. She's got beaucoup bucks sitting, but she's going to retire. And like I say, kudos to her, one of the best of all time, if not the best in the sport of tennis.
Yeah.
Doesn't she already? Doesn't she have a part ownership in the Miami Dolphins? A small percentage?
She's a minority owner. Yes.
Yeah.
I believe her and Lewis Hamilton, also the F1 driver. I think they got some ownership in some professional team. Maybe Miami, maybe another sport too. I'm not sure.
Her sister was the GOAT before she was.
That was just going to say. I think the big winner is their dad, who never ever had to hit more than a half hit tennis ball, and these girls took it to the next level, and that's your winner right there. Is Pop.
Please refer to her as Your Majesty, because she is
There you go. She's
goddess
the
that has ever played in sports. I mean, nothing but super kudos to her. She has overcome who knows how many different pieces of BS thrown in her way, and stood tall no matter what came down the line, and still was the best. So nothing but love for her. Congratulations for a magnificent career, and whatever I know you'll build a great family, because there are going to be some competitors out there. You're going to be able to fight. I promise you that.
Absolutely. So,
yes, she's
well,
fantastic.
gentlemen, let's take a quick break. But who knows? Maybe she'll be involved in the world of gaming. We can talk about that with Caleb here at the bottom of the hour. So let's take a quick break. We'll bring it back with Jeremy and talk a little fantasy, because it's getting to be right around the corner here, guys. That fantasy league is about ready for draft time. So let's take a quick break and come back.
Spartan Global Network, a platform that will provide various types of useful lifestyle products and services that will help people in need. Spartan Global Network, in conjunction with Affinity Consumer Alliance, presents an online subscription-based platform that's bundle inclusive, based on level selection. Spartan Global Network provides access to unique insurance coverages for you and your family. Mobile phone breaks down? Our mobile rescue plan covers more than 15 common repairs and even water damage maintenance. Car broke down while on the road? We offer 24-hour roadside assistance to make sure that you are safe and covered in the event of an emergency while on the road. Going for travel? We are able to offer our members discounts on flights, hotels, rental cars, vacation packages, cruises, and more. So, what are you waiting for? Visit our website for more info at SpartanGlobalNetwork.com.
There you go. That's from Sparty Dog. Spartan Network. Their compliments of Lewis Booker. So we're back. We're talking about fantasy. We're going to bring in Jeremy as he adjusts his camera there so we can get the best angle there, Jeremy. We got you. Waiting for him to get that camera all set up there. Looking good, man. I got you. We got you. What do you undo his audio all of a sudden there? All right, you got the floor is yours there, Master. Jeremy, what's going on, my man?
Oh,
Yeah,
there's
Muted
no
yourself.
audio.
We're talking fine, and that's no, you muted yourself.
Well, fantasy draft season is coming up, so I'm sure he's going to be talking about that as we're
Absolutely.
going to have our simple Playz draft here at the end of the month. So
Yes,
we're
we
going to
are.
see how everybody does.
I am so ready to disappoint everybody. I am so ready.
Well, maybe I should. What I'm thinking, guys, I'm just going to do an auto draft, and I'll take whoever. Maybe I'll surprise everybody that way, so I don't have to be present for the draft.
Now, Sid, did you share your name with everybody? You're the Sid Sleepers.
Yeah. And my logo is a ram. I got a hard head.
All right.
Bullheaded. Well, what's happening with Jeremy here? He was talking to us live there a little while ago, and all of a sudden we lost him. What's going on with his? Must have that. Yeah, because I'm sure he's full of good stuff he's got there to talk tonight about some of the ins and outs of our fantasy league coming up here. And I'm sure I'm going to ask Caleb when he gets on too about the fantasy side. If he's got a fantasy side, of course.
I'm afraid of when I play fantasy that I'll get too competitive. I'll get as competitive as I have been in my career, and then that's going to get ugly.
It's in our genes. We want to win. We're competitive at everything we play.
And that's the thing, is that if you pick
Steve, that's good TV.
I'm afraid that I won't quit talking smack.
It's bad for my blood pressure. It's bad for our relationships. I want to keep you guys as friends. I mean, when I talk shit, nothing compares but a toilet. So
I want to do a shout out. Thank you, Steve, for being so honest and forthright. Because I want to give a shout out to my boy Chidi Ahanatu. And Chidi was invited by me a number of years ago to coach in a high school All-American football game down at Raymond James Stadium. Now, the whole week, he's, hey, Rev, all good. Thanks for, inviting me. I'm having a great time with the kids. Literally, fellas, before we break up on the field to go to our selective areas for individual before the game, he looks at me and he goes, "No, but really, Rev, don't take this ass whooping so personal." So I get it what you're saying, Steve, because that changed the dynamic in our relationship. Now where every time he says, "Hey, you should try this or have a bite of that," I kind of look at him like, I wonder if I could do that. Maybe there's poison. I don't know. See, it changed the dynamic.
exactly, that's why I don't play golf.
Yeah. Did we get Jeremy's audio going, or maybe Jeremy can come back after the fact? We can get him on. Do we got him? He's talking. We don't have CCTV. Yeah. Why don't we do this? We can have Jeremy. If Jeremy can come back, maybe we can have Jeremy after Will. If Will shows up, we could do it, as part of that segment, if that's okay with Jeremy. And just bring Caleb on. We'll take a quick break, come back, and we can just jump into esports. That way Jeremy can regroup. Because, hey, it happens. That's the beauty of technology. So while we do that, gentlemen, we'll come back. We'll just jump on with Caleb, get him on, and start talking about this crazy esports right now, if that's okay with you. So
Sweat. Caught in the relentless duel between staying active and struggling to stay fresh, we searched for a better alternative. The Swag Rag provides the perfect solution to sweat stains and embarrassing perspiration by revolutionizing the way we battle sweat. Gone are the days in which we were forced to carry around an unseemly rag to wipe away unwanted sweat. By introducing fashion-forward thinking to the world of wet resistance, we have created a smarter way to stay dry. The Swag Rag is made in America with hand-selected fabrics designed to be gentle on the skin but tough on sweat. By making it both trendy and convenient, we have bridged that embarrassing gap between looking good and staying prepared.
And we are back. And I tell you what, guys, we could probably use a swag rig this time of the year. That's the dog days of August and training camp. And there's a man, Caleb. Caleb probably has to use a swag rig every now and then when the guys are going with the tournaments he's got going. He's probably, oh my God, what are we doing? Crazy. Hey, good to have you on, my man. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can. How you guys been doing?
Not bad, not bad, not bad at all. So you're a KG veteran when it comes to streaming. So this is not your first rodeo. So you know everything about restreaming, how it all works. So glad to have you on. Wanted to talk a little bit of esports. And Brian, did you get some background on here in terms of what's going on with his background too? I mean, I think you have some things about Caleb that we can talk about prior to just jumping into it. We want to see a little background on it. What do you got there, Brian?
Absolutely. CEO of NECC. They started in fall of 2020, and they have more than 100 colleges competing in their conference. Zach, I know, has that list. He'll have it up here shortly. But some of the games that they're doing is League of Legends, Overwatch, Rainbow Six Siege, Rocket League, and Valorant. As well as, I think in your league you do a little bit of Smash Brothers as well. I don't know if your company does, but I know that they do. Yeah. So why don't you tell us about that?
This is an outdated list.
Oh,
wow.
Well, more than 100, isn't it? I think that's like
Oh, yeah.
250. That's 7+ pages there, Caleb. So
I'm looking at this. I'm like, man, we got to eat real quick there. Yeah, no, it's grown really quickly. Yeah, we did start in the fall of 2020 with 36 schools, and it's kind of grown from there. I posted actually last night. I was screwing around, and one of my staff sent me like, "Hey, you know, our growth looks like this. Like, what do you think we're gonna do this semester?" And I'm like, you know what? Let me just put it put it in the tweet. So we started the fall 2020 with 36 schools. We moved on to spring 2021 with 86 schools. This list is probably from somewhere in between spring and fall of 2021, because we jumped from fall 2021 at 153 schools, and then straight up to 217 last spring. And now we're kind of running up to, like, we have 250 right now on our membership list, but there's another like 12 or 13 signed up that haven't made it to the membership list yet. So I've got a rough estimate about 275 to 300 right now. Going to be playing in the fall semester, which is just absolutely wild.
yeah, it's pretty crazy. And I know when I was mentioning to the guys too, the one thing that kind of made them ears perk up when I said, "You're not affiliated with the NCAA whatsoever. It's totally separate. You guys are your own thing, right? So you can kind of free reign in essence, or how does that work?"
Yeah. So I'll give you the rough. This started through an NCAA conference. It was a D3 conference that this kind of started through, the New England Collegiate Conference, which is kind of funny because, you know, the NCAA is not associated with us at all and everything like that, but we did start from a conference. So me and my business partner, Jacob Van Ryn, kind of developed this out with the base level of the conference in mind. And then we were like, you know what? It wouldn't be good at this level. We should do it nationally. Why not? Right? We can. And we kind of been proving that we've been able to do it for the last 2 years at a national level. But the NCAA at this current moment, one, doesn't have the ability to do it. Two, really doesn't have the foothold to be able to do it. And really, it's just kind of a different space that I don't think the NCAA really wants to manage, for obvious reasons of NIL and having to deal with that, but also the fact that esports players are currently being paid in various fashions. So it's just kind of a mess that if the NCAA was to open up the availability for esports, they'd probably lose some very major properties within their sports.
Okay. And let's talk a little bit about that. I know we're talking about NIL because we talk a lot about NIL. I mean, it's huge now. What say you about that with your with esports? I mean, how are you guys tackling that? Because I'm assuming you're involved with that. It's got to be big too with a lot of these gaming companies you're involved with and some of the contracts that they're throwing out there. Even though they're student athletes, they're getting paid, right? So let's talk. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's dependent on kind of the level of kids, kind of. So like we've got professional players in collegiate esports because why not, right? Just add to the mess. And I've had a lot of different conversations in terms of like what the real value is, but in regards to name, image, likeness for the kind of overall collegiate esports, it's not regulated at all. It's not even a conversation. In all honesty, if a student wants to go and has the ability to find themselves some value within their name and brand, then go ham. That's their prerogative, and they can go and do whatever they want with that. The largest contract I've seen right now from a college student is in the range of $250,000 a year, and that's before anything they're doing for their own stream, and that's before anything they're doing for pro contracts or tournaments or event organization. So it's just kind of one of those wild things where it's like the more money you can add to your pocket, go like it's yours. Have fun.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, I know I was talking to Rev about this and mentioned to Steve too. There's a coach within one of those schools that's a former NFL player, and I think you and I talked about Amon Green. So can you tell me a little bit about that? I mean, that's one thing that a lot of these former athletes, and I posted something recently about Kyler Murray and Bronny James on Sports Illustrated. How many, pro athletes are involved with that, amateur athletes? Where's the fit? I mean, how's that happening? What's going on there?
Well, it's dependent on the game and it's dependent on the company, but I will say that we've been directly involved with the NFL Alumni Association since our first season, which is kind of really awesome through our TV contracting business. But the rough kind of generalization is we kind of met Amon Green really early in the process, and Amon said, "Here's like 10 things I want to push you towards," and they all kind of just fell into place, and he was really good about that. But Amon Green's definitely the biggest name within collegiate esports right now. He's currently running Lakeland University. Huge, massive props to him as well because he's doing all that. Both like he doesn't need to do it; he wants to do it. So he's doing all that pretty much out of the kindness of his heart, and he's impacted a lot of students. I want to say probably about 50 to 100 students every year that he's impacted directly, and really kind of developed the scene within Madden and within some other games as well through the past few years of his kind of operation. But he's not the only one that's kind of involved in collegiate esports. We've had, NACL, who's another kind of collegiate esports company. They've had endorsements from a little over 32 professional players, whether it be from football, basketball, racing. So they had one from, I think, Lando Norris promoted them as well. So F1, right? So it's not just the guys in major positions in kind of the NFL. It's all over the place, right? And as this grows and as this develops, you're going to see more and more pros kind of be like, okay, well, this is something that we can find some value in, and we can find some benefit to get some revenue out of,
Well, it's came a long way since I was a kid. I'm sure Steve and Rev and Randy.
I'm sitting here with my jaw to the floor. I can't believe this. Like, oh my God, you guys are getting paid to do this. I mean, when I was at the Texans, they bought 2 TVs and 2 Xboxes, and we were like top of the line back then when we could play Halo versus each other between those two, and we thought that was the greatest thing ever. And now you guys are just playing. How do you guys? First of all, is the game manufacturer starting these things, or are you guys just bridging off of that? What's that deal? Who starts this?
It depends. And there is a lot of game developers that are kind of all over the place. So I'll give you 3 examples. With Riot, which is Riot Games is the League of Legends and Valorant IP developer and owner. They majorly have a foothold in their own collegiate scene and technically are a competitor of the NECC, which is very complicated because like I'm competing against the guys that we have a license from to be able to host competition in their game, right? So that's a fun conversation, but they do actively host competition and they do a lot of stuff to help develop competition within collegiate. In fact, that this year for Valorant, there's a massive expansion for how that's going to look this year, and how they're going to clean up things and how they're going to try and develop things this year. But it's always cool to kind of learn from them and kind of get experience from them because we do work with them directly on a plethora of levels, right? But when it comes to other developers, I'll give you a good one. Nintendo, who's the owners of Smash, they actively kind of block, in all honesty, development in collegiate and high school. It's harder requirements, it's harder developments, and they don't do anything on their own to help develop or incentivize doing it. So a lot of that has been through our schools saying, hey, we want this, 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 hey, we want this. And us just being like, okay, we'll figure it out. And we'll do everything we possibly can to figure it out. Because in the end, it really is good for the NECC in terms of like, okay, we're helping out coordinate competition for these students. We're helping keep retention rates up. We're helping keep all these other things up. But a lot of the problems that come from situations like Nintendo is one of those things where it's like, why? Like, why are you blocking this? This only helps you in the long run, right? And then you've got a middle of the pack like Blizzard Activision, who says yes to some things, says no to some things, who's really helpful in other ways, who adds prize pools in other ways, or who just straight up doesn't care in other ways, right? And you just kind of have to navigate with each of these IPs in their own kind of rights, licenses, media, all that kind of stuff, and just make sure that you don't break any contracts. There's currently one contract floating around where it's like, if you break that contract, which you have to know about that contract to break it, which is very awkward because no one really knows about it. It's like a $1 million fine per day that you break it, which is just wild, right?
You don't have the contract. You don't have to worry about it. That's why.
No, but that's the thing. Is they license. So here's how collegiate esports works. Sometimes they license it out to a specific game owner. So like the NECC is one company. There's a couple other companies that do what we do. Sometimes they license out their game rights to another company. And if anyone else was to break that contract, we are liable for breaking that contract, whether we knew about it or not. That's how screwed up collegiate esports is in some ways, right? So we don't touch some games just because we know we can't, because there is a license out there that will screw us up. And the only reason we know is because we actively are searching for that information, which is just wild.
Speaking of Activision Blizzard, they're almost ready to be acquired by Microsoft. Do you see that as a positive or a negative?
It depends on how the ownership takes over it. Honestly, at our level, we'll probably not see much change just because it's a massive conglomerate. It only really changes at the C-suite level. But I do see that there's going to be a lot of good changes that do happen from that. For example, having a new COD game release every November, December, which is right in the middle of the collegiate season, does not help anyone in collegiate. So slowing down that sales cycle would be really nice for us. But there's some other changes, like they are going to be putting more effort into developing their older game library, like Halo and stuff like that, which Steve had said earlier. And I do think that that's super valuable because there is a massive following for those games. It's just not extremely developed at a lower level. It's like college sports. We've got lacrosse, and lacrosse exists, but it's not going to get watched nearly as much as college basketball or college football. But these developers have this massive following that they're just not touching on yet. So who knows, right? In all honesty, Microsoft could be a saving grace, or they could do worse. I don't know how, but they could do worse.
I have a question for you too. On we talk about all these schools. My understanding is that they give scholarships. Does every school do that, or certain schools do that? And I'm just curious about that.
So I've kind of learned to level it out in terms of like how you kind of define a school giving out a scholarship. And at this point, I'm kind of leaning towards a 4-tier system. So we still have club programs, and club programs still compete with varsity programs in collegiate esports, which is kind of wild, to be honest. And sometimes those club programs are way better than the varsity programs, which is even more funny. So imagine Alabama football all of a sudden not having a single coach, but still competing at the Alabama football level, right? And that's what club programs are doing in esports. So there's kind of 4 levels. There's that club program level, which doesn't have any funding. They figure out their own money. They figure out their own leagues, and then they do really well. Then there's the club program that kind of has some more funding. They kind of get their league fees paid for. It's not really student run at this point. There's kind of like some support from the school. This is kind of like the club B level. So there's some of these programs are really good. Some of these programs are really bad, but it's a club level. So you kind of get a mixed bag, right? Then you kind of have like what I like to call at this point the junior varsity level. They have scholarships to give out. Normally it's in similarity to what their other scholarships are on campus. These are kind of Division II, Division III schools in the NCAA. NAIA is kind of Division II schools. The JUCOs as well as Canadian schools fall into this most often. And they kind of fall under this, okay, we can give out about 50% in scholarships pretty similarly to almost all of our students. And that's kind of how we operate. And the scholarships are how they are. And some states that's better, cheap and nice, like Blinn in Texas is offering some solid scholarships and their school costs next to nothing off the bat. But like New England College and Henniker, New Hampshire, they offer 50% scholarships and you're still paying $25,000 a year to go to school, right? And then you have what I call true varsity. At this point, this is your schools that are technically the Alabamas of collegiate esports. So this is Maryville. This is Fisher College. This is Columbia College. This is a bunch of schools you guys would have never heard before, but that are the number one in collegiate esports. The only one that you guys probably would have heard before is Illinois State University. And David Kirk runs that program. He's a great guy. And these guys have full scholarships for their main teams, right? The numbers that you kind of expect from those are kind of programs within 50 to 100 kids, competing at a national level on at least one game. Some of them are competing, like Northwood University in Michigan is competing in, I'd say, 5 games at a national level and winning a lot. And within collegiate, there's probably about $1.9 million of prize pools for these students to win. So there's a lot of money for these students to be able to win. And on top of that, they're not paying for school. So great. Now you get to pocket money while I'm in college. Red's shaking his head on that one.
Is that Maryville here in Missouri? Where's that?
Maryville in Missouri, yeah.
Are you serious?
I'm not joking.
It's like 30 minutes from me.
Maryville's massive. So David Clerkey directs that program. He's the director of esports over at Maryville. I gotta say, he's one of the brightest minds in collegiate esports. He's very, very good at his opinions. He's very good at his communication, but he recruits the top level players. He said the top level CLAW program, League of Legends program for the last couple of years. But not just Maryville. Missouri is actually one of the major hubs for collegiate esports. Columbia College in Columbia, Missouri is the best for Rocket League in the West Coast. I'm actually going there next semester, so I'll be developing that program there as well. And then there's Mizzou is a massive program now in St. Louis University.
Steve's a Tiger, former Tiger, so maybe you can connect with him. Maybe we can do a collective, an NIL collective of some sort for esports at Mizzou, Steve.
I mean, my head is turning. I'm trying to keep up with him. Holy hell.
I do spit out a lot of facts very quickly.
You sure did, but I'm catching every one of them like, wait a minute, that's kind of heavy. I got that one.
So Maryville's scholarships in the last year were about $450,000 that they basically gave to the students. And there's kind of a running joke that's a bit monopoly money because they're not actually spending any money. They're kind of just running at a loss for those players. But in that $450,000 that they gave to players, they ended up returning about, I want to say, close to $600,000 worth of prize pools. I'd have to double check that because that's based off of events, that's based off of tournaments that they've done. And Maryville is one of the ones that kind of are a little bit elitist, so they only play in the top events, right? They only play in the best of the best. But schools like Columbia College don't shy out from a $5,000 prize pool, and there's like 30 of them this month. So,
wow. Rev, you got any questions?
Kids in Missouri playing video games all day.
I swear to God, it's like, oh my God, I should have go ahead and give me a controller. I'm gonna go ahead and kick it up. I'm gonna go back to school, guys.
Integrated when I was in college, the GPA of our team would have went up at least 2 points. Solid. 2 points solid.
See, statistically, we've been learning how GPAs have been kind of influencing the players over the last couple of years. So now we've started to get kind of an understanding of how GPAs are getting affected at the top level and the bottom level. For these top level teams, the GPAs are actually technically lower than what they should be. But most campuses are moving to a 2.0 minimum GPA standard, as well as most leagues are moving to that standard as well. So we're kind of starting to figure out how to actually get GPAs involved and kind of that stuff. But it's a mess. That's one of the messy parts of like, how do we tackle this and how do we get it solved at a national level? And how do we regulate club programs who really don't care about their GPAs at this point, right? Like a varsity program has a coach to regulate their GPAs on campus. A club program, good luck.
Nobody.
Yeah.
No.
You're talking to a 20-year-old kid that's drinking on Fridays and Saturdays, and then Monday through Thursday he's eating Hot Pockets and Taco Bell.
Exactly.
I know the deal. Good thing.
He goes off his fingers while he's playing Halo. That's right.
Good Lord. Man, I'm just, I'm sorry. I'm blown away. I'm trying to hold on to this.
Yeah. So, hey, I got a question for you. Now, is Benedict College part of your group? I don't remember them seeing. Are they part of that group?
We don't have Benedict College. At least I don't know of them. I haven't had a conversation with them.
The reason I ask is
I
saw an article. They're HBCU, and we talk about HBCUs. But they are, they had this new whole gaming room that they took and they opened up, and they also, from my understanding, created a specific, I don't know if it was a class or major on gaming / spyware, whatever it was for cybersecurity type of thing, but incorporated it. Are you finding that with the gaming, where is it with STEM and things? How do they incorporate it at the schools? Is there some sort of classes that these kind of fit right into what they're doing?
Yeah, it depends on kind of what the program is, and I'll kind of go through my 3 levels of this as well. But I want to be very clear. I don't recommend to schools. I've gotten asked about this a lot recently. I don't recommend to schools to create esports degrees unless they have someone actively pushing that and directing that. Because most schools that are creating esports degrees, specifically like esports management degrees, which are very similar to sports management degrees, just with a couple of esports centric classes. I specifically recommend to those schools not to do it anymore because there are top level programs and you're competing against that if you want to create stuff like that. However, there's again 3 levels to how this is kind of done. There is we're adding esports, and now we're adding a whole, and Northwood University just recently did this, we're adding a whole tech wing to our school, which is going to focus on cybersecurity and engineering, kind of more of that STEM focused stuff. And they're doing a really good job at that because now they have the access and the endemic to be able to kind of develop that and the students to want to go to those classes, right? And then you kind of have the second level, which is we're kind of developing those esports specific classes, but we don't really have the best people to kind of be leading them. Southern New Hampshire is kind of in that situation right now where they have the right tools and they have the right people to want to do it, but they're really not the leading program for that sort of situation because they're kind of competing against other programs who have not only been doing it longer, but have the best experts to be able to lead these classes, right? And now Southern New Hampshire's getting there, and I've been helping them with that program every once in a while. And they've got lots and lots and lots that they could do really, really effectively in the next couple of years. And then you've got this kind of third level, and I've helped out specifically with this program a lot. Seneca College in Ontario is developing a full esports degree path, which will have an esports minor as well as an esports major in the next couple of years. And this will, in all honesty, I don't know how the esports world is going to react to this because I wouldn't specifically hire an esports degree over a business degree in some cases. It's just, I'd rather the kid be knowledgeable than the kid have a degree in the path, right? But Seneca College is developing this, and it's run by a name called Chris Lama. He's the owner of Parabellum. He's the lead of Northern Shield and all the Northern Shield stuff, the Northern Shield Development Group. And this guy knows what he's talking about. Not only does he know what he's talking about, he's been actively focusing on developing this class and this program path for so long that it's kind of unmatched, right? And he really puts a lot of time and a lot of effort into making sure that not only is he keeping up with the active space and answering the effective questions, but also continuing to make sure that the classes are up to snuff with what the real industry is doing, right? But in all honesty, what I'm recommending to schools nowadays is you can make an esports degree, great, go ham with that. But there's like 500 other jobs in esports that are more valuable, i.e. production and development and media degrees, which is basically how to run this podcast, right? The person that would be running this podcast should have a production and media degree. There's digital media graphics arts degrees. Those people are awesome. In all honesty, writing degrees are getting really big in esports as well now because being able to tell a story and fluently develop the story throughout the process is really, really, really valuable. And then there's a whole bunch of management, like what I do personally is business management, but also management, right? I have to manage teams, I have to manage people. And those type of degrees are getting really, really effective in collegiate esports as well and professional esports as well because it's better experience, right? An esports-based degree is really loosely worded and doesn't really give a focus of like what that kid actually knows, right?
Well, it's not like when Steve was in college and they had like basket weaving, right, Steve?
Underwater basket weaving.
I actually met a kid who's getting a degree in basket weaving like 3 weeks ago.
You can't.
I'm not even joking. I'm not joking.
It ain't easy.
Was he an athlete by chance?
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
Hey, I got a question regarding the sport as a whole. Did they bet on this? Because I know we talk a lot about Vegas. Steve just told me. Do they bet on esports? Not college. Can you do it in college? I know they do it in the real world, right? For gaming, these tournament events. Correct?
Yeah, so professional esports actually said there's a couple major scandals. If you look up CSGO betting scandal, that's probably the first one that you can find. There's a couple of major in regards to esports. Betting is a thing. It's not as major as it is in sports, and a lot of the developers have actively tried to kind of slow it down. But they understand that it is going to be a thing and it is going to develop, and it's really going to actually get pushed in collegiate here in the next couple of years. Because betting does make money, right? And for the leagues and the conferences that are hosting that, it makes them money too. So I could see a lot of that getting developed in the next couple of years. But loosely, yes, it just depends on the game and it depends on what licenses and rights are out there. It's really awkward, honestly. Welcome to esports.
Interesting.
Well,
Caleb, can
it's
I ask
no
you a
different than the
question?
Wild Wild West. It's the same thing. It's wide open. Nobody's set up frames or guide rails or nothing like that, and it's open, and people are just running and making stuff happen. So this is amazing.
Yeah. Jeremy, you had a question there? You said you had a question?
Yeah, sorry, I'm late to the party here on the esports. I was watching online though. I have a 15-year-old who puts in about 12 to 16 hours a day. When does the recruiting start for some of these young kids?
Yeah.
About that age. So I'll give you the rough. I was that kid. I tore my ACL, and when I tore my ACL, that's when I started playing games at a really competitive level because I couldn't play hockey anymore, and I couldn't play soccer, and I couldn't play golf at all. I just got this like weird kind of I should be playing video games, right? If they're playing 15 hours a day and they're doing well, in all honesty, college coaches already know the kid's name. If they're one of those, it's an average player, what ends up happening is they could get a scholarship, but it's going to be at one of those kind of JV schools where it's like, they're earning money to go to school and it's going to be way cheaper than to go anywhere else. But it's not, this kid's going to get nationally ranked and he's going to go pro, right? So it really depends on kind of what level he's at. And if he's not at that level where he's really, really high level, really kind of high class, then in 1-2 years, you go to college coaches in your area and send me a DM. I could probably find you a bunch of college coaches now that would be interested in kind of having him on a list. If you go to a bunch of college coaches in your area, then you could just kind of
Time out.
Figure that out.
Time out.
Steve,
I was cold as ice on Halo. Right? I was cold. I mean, every time we go there, it's like they had to have me on their team. Nobody wanted to play without me. And then the other team's like, nah, I'm good to go. And I'm cold at Madden. So, I'll knock the dust off of these cleats and I'll get it starts right down the room. I'll go knock that bad boy up and start practicing again. So,
yeah, unfortunately, those two games don't have the big prize pools in collegiate, but Halo last semester had $15,000 in prize pools for the top team, which Ryerson and someone else was in the running for. And then Madden had a $75,000 collegiate prize pool with a $50,000 add-on. And that was a lot of fun. Almond Green went up against Northwood, and they kind of had a clash. So it was Lakeland against Northwood for a while. But there was a couple other programs in the running here and there.
Why is that? Why does Madden not have the kind of money that, say, the League of Legends has?
Well, so League of Legends has a effing ton of money. And the reason is because the developer has added a prize pool every semester of $450,000, right? So that's coming directly from the IP, right? With Madden specifically, the IP has licensed that out to Learfield IMG, which is a company that is in collegiate sports majorly. They do a lot of the websites within collegiate sports as well as a lot of the management of collegiate sports. Yep. And Learfield IMG manages and develops the Madden scene. Now, they only put $75,000 towards the prize pool because that's all they put, right? And that's just up to them. They don't really have a limit with that license. I've seen that license before. They don't have a limit. They could put a $1.5 million prize pool. The problem is it won't make that money because there isn't that money in Madden yet, where League of Legends easily has that money, right? So it's just kind of a bit about viewership, a bit about kind of the industry and collegiate esports and kind of how the players are coming to the league, right? I say a bit of all of those factors kind of factor into how big the prize pools get.
So it's basically like football and basketball in the NCAA draw the money, League of Legends and Overwatch and Rocket League draw the money in esports.
Yeah, so the big three in collegiate esports right now are League of Legends, Rocket League, and Valorant. Rainbow Six is kind of tagged in there, and Overwatch is kind of tagged in there, but they're not really up there. Smash is kind of tagged in there as well. But you're right; it's exactly like college basketball and college football. Those games have money, great. Those games are going to have the big productions, right? And then the college lacrosse, yeah, it's good, but it's only good for retention rates, right? So it's not going to have as much money. It's not going to have the same scholarships level. It's not going to have blah, blah, blah. Keep going down that list, right?
I want to go back to something Jeremy mentioned, though, because we also have a partner, and our partner, he does recruiting. He does helps out with students getting scholarships and that. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, I think he's mentioned he's had a couple kids that are looking for scholarships in esports. So how could someone like us team up to help out and get involved with that? Because what we're doing is involved with NIL, and also we talk a lot of sports and we got connections. So how could our company, our group as a whole, help out and get people more aware of what possibilities they have in esports?
Now, I don't know exactly specifically what you guys do, but I do know that it's as simple as reaching out to coaches if you want to get players through the pipeline. There's lots of different ways to get players through the pipeline. We personally have a partner with Stay Plugged In, but if you send a message to me and said, hey, I've got this Valorant player who wants to go to school in Missouri, I can find him 5 schools that are willing to offer him a spot, either on scholarship or not on scholarship, right? Tomorrow. I can do that tomorrow. But it's just kind of dependent on kind of in what way do you want to get involved with collegiate esports? Do you want to get involved in the kind of sponsorship, marketing, and partner side? Do you want to get involved in the kind of tournament operations side? Do you want to get involved in the kind of big picture? Do you want to just be involved, right?
Yeah.
The
answer is yes.
Yeah.
The answer is yes.
Because if I read right, I think there's over 1 billion people that play gaming in some shape or form casual. That's 1 billion with a B. And this is just getting bigger and bigger. I mean, with the vision of this, I'm assuming it's just going to continue to escalate, continue to go higher and higher and higher. I mean, everything is all gaming. I mean, they fight wars now.
On Nintendo.
They hire gamers. They bring them in. That's because they're fighting.
Here's my first thought: is I'm just trying to recover my costs. I Xboxes and who knows how many controllers. So that's my first thing. So when you said 75 grand, I'm like, shit, that's probably what I spent on all this shit. So let me recover that cost first. Then let's go ahead. If I can make $20 on this, you gotta understand this is a lot of wasted time I get fussed at about. So I'm kind of like, you know what? This ain't a bad gig. But this is amazing to me that this universe has been created, and everything you're talking about is no different than any other competitive arena. It's just a new arena. So
You're 100%
amazing to me. So I'm beyond excited, and it's all right here in Missouri. I'm going to Maryville probably by Friday.
Clerky would be a little bit surprised, I'll be honest. But the Sid, you're right. It's estimated 1.3 billion people play video games at a casual level. It's estimated that 33% of those are in 33% of North America's population plays at a somewhat competitive level, whether it's casual or otherwise. And specifically in the games that I focus in, there's about 7 million players in North America that are playing at a competitive level or attempting to play at a competitive level. And it's really kind of just like, how good can you be, right? So in my game of choice, which is currently Valorant, I specifically target a really high quality player and all that kind of stuff. I am currently part of the top 20,000 players in North America, which is amazing, but I'm nowhere near pro, right? And there's a whole another level above me in terms of how good you can get. And that's just kind of the story of it, the spiel of it. But like you guys said it right. There's lots of things that you could easily translate over from sports. NIL is one of them that's going to, right? And you got to remember the esports players currently don't have the same following as sports players because it's not as public as sports just yet. But the NIL will get there in the next 10, 15, 20 years to the point where it's like, okay, you're probably playing esports kids more than you're playing sports kids now because it's just got a better viewership. It's a little easier to access, right? You don't have to pay for the $1,000 worth of sports gears. You just have to show up to the local LAN center and pay $20 an hour, right? And it's going to get to that point.
You might have thumbitis.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we could go on with you there, Caleb, talking about this. I mean, there's a lot of
It's
things.
amazing.
Yeah.
I'm mad because I should have been developed these skills. I spent all these hours, and can you talk shit? Because that's what I do. That's how I win most of my games when I complete.
So there is a little bit of a running joke right now where certain scenes are all about talking shit, and the other scenes are all about being like quiet pansies, to put it better. But no, the scenes that you can talk shit end up having the best videos from their LAN events that they do. It's really just a spectacle to watch, and some of the things that these guys say is totally out of pocket.
Awesome. Well, I tell you what, I'd love to keep you come back at some point. I mean, find a little bit more about this because I tell you what, this is only the tip of the iceberg. I think we kind of whet the appetite with the guys who are talking about this, and you got me thinking as well how we can get involved. And I know for one thing, I think we have one talented Jeremy. We're going to get your boy hooked up. You know, all right. Let's get him a scholarship. You know, if he doesn't play athletics, he's a gamer. Get him in one of those Maryville bound. Get him set up there.
Sounds good.
So, well, Caleb, I appreciate you coming on. We're gonna go to the top bar. We got our Where's Will segment. We're gonna finish up with fantasy there for Jeremy's back on. And like I said, we could continue talking on about this. This is great. I really appreciate you coming on for us for the half an hour talking about this. And
Thanks a bunch.
Let's keep in touch. And man,
thank you.
You're a young man just taking and running wild with this right now.
We're gonna keep in touch. Trust and believe that.
Absolutely, because Steve wants to get back in the game.
Oh yeah,
I'm getting back. I'm about to beat my son up. We ain't going to practice tomorrow. We're going to just play.
We're going to the arcade, boys. Let's go.
All right, well, guys, let's take a break. We'll bring Where's Will in, and then we're going to jump in with Jeremy Fantasy. And Caleb, again, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Caleb.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Thanks, Caleb.
On August 2nd, I will be riding the vertical equivalent of Mount Everest to raise awareness for rare disease. My goal? To reach 29,032 people. To have them acknowledge those suffering in relative silence. To pledge $1 to the cause and share this message. A rare disease is classified as any disease that affects less than 200,000 people in the world at any given time. This makes each rare disease an anomaly, meaning that they don't have the numbers for research, funding, and cures. These people and their families suffer every day, and no one is talking about it. That is what I want to change.
And we are back, and there's a man. Where's Will?
What's up, fellas? So apparently Steve's trying to get back into the game. He can just get a copy of that.
Back from the break, fellas. We're all good.
Man, I got these Xboxes just sitting in here, bro. I'm about to turn them both on and smoke them.
Xbox. You know you got a Tecmo Bowl in there.
Hey, you can just get Madden 2004 and make yourself a 99 in Madden, and you'd be the best player in the National Football League.
No.
If I could play, if I did that, I've done that, by the way. So from 01 to 04, made myself a 99 and balled out. So yeah, no, man, that is making me mad because I'm sitting there. I got this big ass TV with the Xbox on it. Don't get played, but my son plays on his computer now. So I'm just gonna have to go in there and, like I tell him when we talk about playing football, I say I'm gonna have to lock you in the basement, feed you gunpowder and glass, and just make it tough. So anyway, I was excited about that. How you doing, Will?
I'm doing just fine. I just came back from Ohio and we had flight nightmares. So
yeah.
Anywho, other than that, it was fun seeing all my friends tailgating again. I showed you guys a few pictures of the tailgate stuff that I was a part of and that I went to with the Tailgating Hall of Fame. That was really fun. Ate a lot of food. They had a rib cook-off, and some Cleveland Browns dude, G-Nat's Tailgate, won the rib cook-off. So that was pretty nifty. They that Browns group hosts about 500 people during every Cleveland Browns home game. So that's pretty sweet.
Wait a second. Cleveland Browns beat out. Was there a Kansas City team? Didn't they have what?
I would give the Cleveland Browns a better rib over Kansas City right now.
Oh, Steve, you gonna take that, Steve?
Well, that's just because they're at home. They're the home team.
That's down the street. Because I'm telling you, some of the barbecue I've had in the parking lot has been some of the best barbecue. And I've been mad because a lot of them didn't get open. They said they were going to get open. They never got open. So yeah.
Stefanski slipped Will some tickets, is what it sounds like to me. Like Andy needs to cough up some tickets down there at KC.
Yeah, we gotta get you. We gotta get you in that tailgate because it's awesome.
Hey, I've been to Kansas City for a tailgate. I love Kansas City tailgating too. In fact, one of my best friends is a converted Chiefs fan from a Vikings fan because of some of that tailgating down there. In addition to some other stuff. But anywho, my hair is gone now, so
I saw that.
Did you join the Marine Corps? What's going on?
No, I didn't join the Marine Corps, but it's like, you know what? We got a recent sponsor called Manscaped, and you know what? I got to give myself a fresh look, so I maintain that fresh look through our sponsor Manscaped with the Gary Stein and Stevens show. So I got to look good for that, and I got to look good when I give these fellow tailgaters their awards when it comes to Tailgater of the Week.
Well, I better look into that. I got to keep my Yul Brenner look there, right, Rev?
Yul Brenner. I love it.
That's a throwback. That's way over these guys' heads, right? Yul Brenner. Who the hell's Yul Brenner?
You're right. Go back to like, what was that? Ben-Hur? You talking? I mean, you got to be talking Charlton Heston too. Will, I think he cleaned up pretty good. I mean, I thought maybe you had to get the haircut because they weren't allowing you in some of the parties. But
well, maybe. I won't confirm or deny those.
But anyway,
I'm not going to confirm or deny those reports because I can't give up all my secrets, you know.
Either that or you got a lady in your life.
Wearing the Vikings jacket.
What?
I'm sorry. Well, just make sure that Vikings jacket is still in the rotation.
My Vikings jacket is right here.
There you go. There it is.
Yeah, I still got puppy coat with me.
Don't leave home without it.
So what do we got going with the tailgating plan? I mean, you getting any leads? People reaching out to you for this whole tailgate of the week? You know, because it's coming up, man. Things are getting hot and heavy here pretty quick.
Well, I definitely have some prospects I was looking at during the summer tailgating bash. So I was kind of scouting to see who I could give for potential tailgates of the week. We'll see what happens. I haven't looked at any submissions yet or anything, but we'll see what happens. We got preseason week 1 coming up.
FYI, we have the signups for your tailgate challenge on simpleplayz.com. So you could go to simpleplayz.com and go to the Superfans page and just fill out the sign-up sheet, and we'll get it, and it'll get right to Will as soon as they sign up.
There you go.
And who knows, maybe you might just be the tailgate of the week. And you get to hang out with me and maybe some of the other guys who want to come with.
Absolutely.
Hey, Will, you're single, aren't you?
Yeah.
Hey, ladies. Now is an opportunity for tailgating. That's some food, some entertainment. That's some football, some great company. That's Will. Holler at your boy. There you go, Will.
Hey, that's a wingman for you, Rev.
We'll get you very much.
Hey, I appreciate the shout out, bro. It means a lot. We'll see what happens. If I find somebody, great. If I don't find somebody, I got the best life to live in front of me.
That's right.
And you know what? The person who wants to become my soulmate or my partner, they have to know how to party. They have to know how to be a football fan, and they need to know how to swing a golf club every once in a while.
Not asking
Hey,
for much.
Rev's your wingman. Hang out
Right.
with Rev. You know how the hot chick always hangs out with the ugly girl? Hang out with Rev. You'll be just fine. He'll hook
Hey,
you up
Rev's
every
a
time.
legend.
Rev is a legend. Yes, he is. Well, I'm glad we were able to get you on talking tonight. We got that audio figured out. That's awesome. And, look for some of the pictures. We can get it up on the site. Make sure you redirect it to this website so they can put their submission in, because we want you to pick that winner. And we want to hear about it on Where's Will segment.
Gotcha. Hey, I sent you guys pictures of the stuff from Canton, Ohio from the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So
Yes, you did.
Yeah, we're going to put that up.
Look like a lot of
Sorry
fun.
if I put that up.
hey, you can put up whatever you want.
It looked like you startled Chris Carter. Either that or you accosted him. I'm going to go with you just startled him rather than accosted him, Will. But the man looked startled. He looked like, hey, how'd you get through security?
Well,
He
I
looked like he put on
recognized Chris Carter at the beginning because he had a lot more hair than I'm used to. It's like,
But yeah, we gotta take and keep those pictures, get them up, and please don't put up any effigies of my Packers being hung. By the way, that's blasphemy. I can't blasphemy. Will, we won't allow that.
oh, you saw the picture of Aaron Rodgers getting hung by that Bears dude at the tailgate?
Hey,
Uh-oh.
listen, because of your hippie ways, Sid, and your boy Aaron Rodgers drinking ayahuasca winning the Super Bowl. I mean, we need to talk about that. We need to talk about your boy.
Guys, nothing wrong with little hallucinogens if they're not on the banned list, right?
I'm just exactly like ayahuasca. They didn't even want to put it on there because it's too many letters.
Exactly. So
Maybe that's why the Packers haven't gone to a Super Bowl, is because he's too busy trying to get high. Who knows?
Could be that too, guys. I'm not sure, but you know what?
We got that good Amazon.
But hey, guys, we got to get over to. We got to make sure we get Jeremy his due because Will, he had a little technical difficulty. It was a flip flop this week. We had to take a call and we lost his audio. So we're gonna take a break. Well, bring Jeremy back on here with his fantasy section, and I want to keep in touch with you. We want to get you on here. We want to see those tailgaters submitting. So push them our way so you can get that tailgate week.
Got you all.
Sweat. Caught in the relentless duel between staying active and struggling to stay fresh, we searched for a better alternative. The Swag Rag provides the perfect solution to sweat stains and embarrassing perspiration by revolutionizing the way we battle sweat. Gone are the days in which we were forced to carry around an unseemly rag to wipe away unwanted sweat. By introducing fashion-forward thinking to the world of wet resistance, we have created a smarter way to stay dry. The Swag Rag is made in America with hand-selected fabrics designed to be gentle on the skin but tough on sweat. By making it both trendy and convenient, we have bridged that embarrassing gap between looking good and staying prepared.
Well, all right. We're back. And we got our fantasy guru, Jeremy Johnson. Jeremy, let's get right into it. Get into that fantasy stuff that we didn't get in the first half. Let's talk fantasy. Jeremy, not saying a word there. Come on, my man. What's going on?
Hello?
Tell me once, tell me twice. Don't tell me another time. We lost you this time. Can you hear Jeremy?
He's delayed.
Must
He's
be
hella
that.
delayed. Yeah.
He's got stage fright.
He's on 2-minute delay.
All right,
Yeah, well,
fellas,
Yeah.
There you go.
coming back from the break. Are we live?
Yes.
Yeah.
We got you.
Yeah, fantasy season is upon us. We've moved from the mock draft phase into the live draft phase. It's kind of a crazy time right now, but I will say that these technical difficulties are a little bit frustrating, but not as frustrating as some of these fantasy teams I've been looking at. So it's kind of crazy.
You haven't seen mine yet.
No, we will put your team on display shortly after the draft on the 29th. But last week we said we were going to talk about some of these mock drafts and just see who's kind of going where. The first, second, third round is very running back heavy in most of these leagues right now, followed by wide receivers. But I will say that strategically, there's a lot to be said for someone who might want to wait on a quarterback this year. In years past, just my own experience, I've tried to be the guy who always gets Mahomes, or if Mahomes gets drafted, I want to take, Josh Allen or Tom Brady or somebody like that right after. But the quarterback depth is pretty nice this year. One of the guys I really like is Tua in Miami. Now that he's got Tyreek Hill to throw to, Waddle had an amazing rookie season. They got a nice tight end, and they do throw to their backs too. So if you're looking for a sleeper quarterback, anywhere after round 6, 7, 8, you could see if Tua's available. And the one guy that fantasy owners just never really dive into, Kirk Cousins. I mean, I don't know what it is. I know his record is what it is, but the guy puts up numbers. He's a top 6, 7 quarterback every year when it comes down to it.
Yeah, the numbers don't lie. I mean, obviously he has won the big game, but hey, we don't care in fantasy as long as he puts up the numbers, right, Jeremy?
No, that's true. That's true. Russell, it's going to be really fun to watch these first preseason games, just to see not necessarily the starters, but to find out who's going to win some of these number 3, 2 and 3 receiver battles in a lot of these situations. A guy like Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy. Want to see how they mesh with Russell Wilson. It's a fun time of the year, and I think someone touched on this earlier. There's football every weekend from now till February, so that's awesome.
Yep, absolutely. Hey, what about the tight end situation? We always talk about the quarterback and the receiver. What about the tight end? Tell me a little bit about where would they fit in the play.
So tight ends are kind of like the quarterback group. There's 2, 3, 4 that are standouts. So at the tight end position, your Travis Kelce's, George Kittle's, Mark Andrews. Those are probably the top 3. But there's a big drop-off once you get down to 12, 13, 14. Guys like Cole Kmet, Noah Fant, Hunter Henry, Dawson Knox. Those are guys that you can get pretty much anytime. They're very interchangeable with bye weeks. You could drop, one tight end and just pick up another average tight end. And if you're not taking one of those top tight ends, you're almost looking for what tight end's going to score this week, because you get those bonus points for touchdowns as opposed to number of catches. There's only a handful of tight ends that are going to get you double-digit catches in a game, and we covered those guys earlier. But the sleeper tight end that I do want people to look out for this year is Irv Smith. Coming off of a rookie year where he played behind Rudolph and wasn't very involved in the passing game, and then last year
hurt
was
again.
supposed to be his breakout year. And
Brian said he's hurt.
he's hurt again. So, but now he's he's a guy to pay attention to. But Tyler Higbee is another one out of LA that's kind of quietly put up some decent numbers too.
What about you say Rudolph. That name Rudolph. I mean, what about being down there? Did he have a breakout year? Just go crazy this year?
I think he's underrated.
I don't know about go crazy.
I think he's underrated.
I definitely see him getting some red zone looks, with his size and not just his size, but the hand. If anyone's ever come across or met him in person, the guy's got ginormous hands, like Hamburglar gloves. He looks like a Hamburglar when he puts those football gloves on.
Catcher's mitts for hands.
Cameron Brate's the number 1 tight end in Tampa right now, and Rudolph's the 2. So, in my opinion, I would say Rudolph is a borderline guy who may or may not even get drafted. But you want to watch him week 1 or week 2 just to see how many targets he gets. It's those tight ends that get more of a target share that you want to keep your eye on.
Okay. What about, we talk about, you mentioned the quarterbacks, we talked about the tight ends. I don't know, we talk about running backs, but the big guys in the backfield, the big guys, the fullbacks, the guys that are the goal line guys.
There aren't any fullbacks anymore.
Well, yeah, it's true.
There are no. Well, the CJ Ham's probably one of the last of them from
Sherman.
From what I
use a tight end back there. Next to your backup tight ends and your fullbacks. Foster Moreau's and stuff, guys like that.
As far as fantasy, when it comes to fullbacks, I mean, you're looking at they're guys who are like goal line touchdown stealers. So it's usually they're the vultures, and those are the guys where you're like, you can't count on them week by week, so you're not going to draft them.
But
another
Jeremy,
interesting position.
I got a name for you. So this goes a little bit back in the day, but you know who used to put up a ton of points? That was a fullback. Mike Allstott.
Mike Allstott?
Oh, I think you were going to say
Mike Allstott. I knew you were going there.
Scored 16 touchdowns in 1975.
Well, that's Randy. You have to remember that's a little bit before his time and probably Jeremy's too. So.
Oh, okay. He scored 16 touchdowns in 14
It's before the time
in 1975. Replaced Marv Hubbard, who got injured on Monday Night Football against the Dolphins. Like yesterday.
Yeah, and I want to go back to speaking of him. You can bring back items like Dave Casper too, right?
Raymond Chester, Dave Casper, you're correct.
Well, hold on. I was in the game where Allstott got hurt. It was actually an ISO play, and I had tackled him, and Quentin Coriat came from the side and broke his femur. Oh. His helmet hit Allstott's thigh, but his shoulder pad hit mine. So I didn't know who got hurt. I'm holding the guy, and I heard and I'm like, what the hell? And then Allstott just, a yelp that I ain't never heard before. And all I could say was, oh, my God, I'm glad it ain't me. So, yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to go too far back. I was going to ask, because I'm sitting there thinking about these quarterbacks. If their line ain't shit, their numbers ain't going to be shit. So that's what this is why I keep talking about these old lines, because I'm sitting there thinking Denver, their O-line was okay last year, but did they improve? Not to mention, if the back can't run, they're going to struggle. And then when they go against Kansas City's D-line, it's going to look like a sieve. So them numbers are going to get real skewed up. We got to figure out a way to get these O-line counted for, because that's a huge factor. One of them guards go down, I promise you they're going to blitz the hell out of that spot. This is how we do it.
Yeah, when it comes to fantasy and O-lines, when you have a stud running back or a running back who is playing behind a good line, I'll use the Cowboys for an example. When Elliott goes down, Tony Pollard's the next guy up, and he's the most popular pickup on the waiver wire because people know what those lines can produce. So to Steve's point, I think fantasy players can identify those handful of teams that have those solid O-lines because they're the ones who are picking up the backup running back as what they call in the fantasy world as a handcuff. So if you were to draft Elliott and I drafted Pollard, I'm kind of rooting for Elliott to miss a couple of games or miss some time so I can play Pollard and steal those points out of the Dallas backfield. So kind of interesting how that works.
Yeah. Never thought of it that way.
Yeah, I would like to see. I'm just sitting there thinking, like, I remember when their guard went down, and all of a sudden they started getting a lot of penetration, and that was really messing up. That's part of the reason Dak got hurt, because the backup just doesn't get the reps, and that chemistry on that O-line is everything. If those 5 guys don't work well together, it's a shit show. It's just what it is. So, I'm basically saying is, for fantasy wise, and I'm coaching as I'm talking, is watch those O-lines in these preseason games and see how they're protecting. I mean, when you're going against your what's his name, your Donalds and guys like that, forget it. Don't really watch that. Watch how they do against just regular defensive lines, which there aren't many, but
Yeah. One thing I was going to mention earlier when you guys were talking to Deshaun Watson, he really throws a hitch in a lot of people's draft strategies, because if he misses 4 games, you could almost draft him, go with another backup guy to kind of carry you through those first few weeks, but then count on Watson the rest of the way, because he's a stud when he's playing, and he obviously boosts guys like Amari Cooper's numbers. But the other thing in Cleveland that you guys didn't mention earlier is Kareem Hunt and his contract status. He wants to get paid.
He's a number 2 guy, so and he could move in a spot. But he can get $60 million. Just and he needs to look at longevity as opposed to just trying to look at that Powerball. Don't get me wrong. I don't know. I haven't been staring down $100 million to say, oh, I want that. I ain't been there. But I'm just saying, when I look at longevity and winning championships, that's what you play for. I mean, after a certain point, the money doesn't matter. You want to win championships. So,
Kareem Hunt is currently getting $6 million.
That's it?
The number 2. That's it.
I'm having a hard time.
Hey, Jeremy, riddle me this. There's a couple things I'm really curious about. When I think about, obviously you got your running backs, your quarterbacks, this, that, but special teams and defense. Where do we go with that? I mean, talk about that, because you know what, they get points too. So what do you do in that case? Is it?
Well, you're not. Typically, most people will take the defense and the kickers in their final couple rounds. Okay. So, do you want to grab a guy like in Tampa? They've got Evans and Godwin. I'm sorry, for the 1s and 2s at the receiver spot, but you've also got Russell Gage Jr., who just went there from Atlanta, and then Tyler Johnson and Scotty Miller. So do you want to grab a fringe receiver that might help you during a bye week, that might be a starter, or a defense? There's another type of fantasy player who will say, cool, I've got my quarterback, I've got my 2 running backs, I've got my 3 receivers, my tight end. Now let me go get a kicker and get the best kicker or the best defense. So with defenses, Buffalo, New Orleans, Green Bay, Tampa, San Francisco, and the Ravens are all in the top 6. To me, the defense, fantasy and scoring, you got to rely on them to either take one to the house, whether it's on the defensive side or the kick return or punt return game, or you're looking at a lot of sacks, interceptions, and fumbles. So looking at the teams that have a lot of takeaways, a lot of sacks, but usually your defenses draft one. If you have a bye week, you cut one and then you pick up another. And you
don't the Ravens have a coordinator? You said the Ravens defense, right?
Yes.
Yes.
The coordinator now, correct?
Correct.
Where did he go? Because he's done really, really well the last 3 years. He's given up the least amount of points in the NFL, and he caused a bunch of turn. What team's he with now? Do you know?
Let me look it up.
I'm not sure.
I know where he's at. That's my defense right there.
The Raiders.
No. He's somewhere else.
He's in New York.
That's right. With the Giants. Watch out for the Giants defense.
Okay.
Well, they're already having fights in practice and stuff. He's already got them going.
Coming from a defensive coach, he used to coach D-backs and right. So yeah. Gotta know what he's talking about. So unless somebody else jumps on him, maybe me jumping on them now, but And again, I may be crazy enough to kick. Maybe I'll pick a kicker first round and really throw you off.
Janikowski still playing?
Yeah,
He was a first-round pick.
Hey, I want Fred Cox. Not only can he kick,
Fred Cox, number 14. Fred Cox.
Not only can he kick, he's still getting paid for Nerf football.
He was straight on kicker.
Janikowski's not still out at after bar close, is he?
He was a first-round pick, though. He was in a real life first-round pick.
But he was the worst built kicker I ever seen.
Oh, he had a bad body, man. But you should have saw
He
him
had
kick.
bad body syndrome. Bad.
He had a lot of beautiful women. Though.
Body. I think that he had a very masculine figure for a kicker.
If he tried to tackle someone, he probably could and take him
Tom
down.
Dempsey had the same body.
Thank you. Little top heavy, maybe weeble wobble, but they don't fall down. That's it.
He had a heck of a career, though.
Yes.
Heck of a career.
Jeremy, we kind of went off on a tangent there. I do apologize. Hey, we got every now and then. So what else we got here before we wind the show down here? What, any other topics you want to bring up for us here?
Can you pick a single defensive player, like somebody you think that's going to be like a lockdown corner or a sack master?
Yep.
Like
so
I would take.
I play in a variety of different leagues. I play in where you do draft one defensive player. Usually you're looking for guys who are either going to get a lot of sacks because you get more points for that. So the Bosas are usually always taken.
Yeah, that's what I was
I'm a
thinking.
homer, so I look at the Vikings matchup each week, and I'll say, okay,
Watt
do I
brothers.
like Daniil Hunter or do I like Harrison Smith to get a pick or maybe a scoop? But yes, you can draft individual players in certain leagues. You just have to look and see how your league is set up.
But our league ain't going that way, Steve. So we're keeping it simple for the stupid guys like me. Keep it simple, stupid Sid.
Now I'm just saying I like
Hey,
numbers. And I play what's a lockdown corner. That's a very, how I shouldn't say comfortable, assuring you feel when you know you got a corner that's going to lock somebody down. That is like, hey, give me 3 seconds, I'll get to him.
Yeah.
I will toss this out there for you. When you say simple plays in fantasy football, I am in the 9th season of what I've called the Super League, and it's a 32-person league. So you got 32 general managers, whatever, that have a draft. The draft is 6 rounds because you're only drafting by team position. So after a 6-round draft, you'll have a team quarterback. So if you have the Vikings, you get Cousins, Mond, Favre if he comes out of retirement. If we trade for someone, you get that quarterback. So you get all of the team quarterbacks. But at the end of a 6-round draft, you have a team running back, quarterback, receiver, tight end, kicker, and a defense. And then the cool thing about the Super League is once you draft, you're all done. There is no waiver wire because every player that will score has been selected. And in the Super League, I eliminate all the yards and catches, and it's just a scoring-only league. So really, you're just watching football on Sundays. If someone scores, someone in the league's getting the points. So there's
that's a simple
fullback vultures.
I like the simple plays aspect to it. So. But Jeremy, let's go into final thoughts. I tell you what, I'm going to jump into final thoughts because we're kind of winding down. But let me throw it right to you because we had the little technical difficulties in the beginning, and you got on. You're finishing up, so I want to go straight to you with our final thoughts from your perspective tonight.
Final thoughts for just fantasy in general?
Just in general, the show, when you're able to listen to Caleb a little bit, talk about gaming or fantasy, just in, final thoughts.
I'll definitely say this. Caleb definitely caught my attention with the esports, and I think my 15-year-old has a future scholarship waiting for him, and it's not one of the athletic ones, which, is kind of weird to say, but hey, it's a different world we live in, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Hey, if it saves you money and pays the college bill, why not? There's worse things you could be doing on a Saturday night, right? Instead of playing games.
Right on.
All right. Brian, go over there. What do you got for us, buddy?
Sure. What now? Looking at the esports side of things tonight, I think I'm just in awe at where recruiting is going.
Yep.
Our partner, Primetime Scouting, they are currently looking for esports, flag football, girls, badminton. It doesn't matter. Look at how recruiting has changed at the collegiate level now. It is incredible. That's
Well,
my final thoughts.
then that is a very big final thought. Rev.
Yeah, well, I'm ready to get into the football season. I'm done with the anticipation. It's kind of like, it's kind of like Christmas, and the present's been under the tree for the third week, and you already had your hand slapped probably 3-4 times and told to get your butt to bed because you've been picking at the presents. I'm ready for the season to begin. I'm also wanting to put this challenge out to Aaron Rodgers that we're going to do a GoFundMe and do a field trip with our leader, Sid Thompson, to the Amazon, all the ayahuasca you could drink, okay? And hey, we're going to do a GoFundMe. That way it's not going to cost out of pocket for our production. We will take cameras just for fun.
Oh, that was made for, you talk about made for TV reality show there. Oh boy, so that'd be interesting.
What I'm here for.
Go, Chanson. What do you have for us tonight? What are your thoughts? I know it didn't get into much.
Here's what I think is going to happen with Deshaun Watson. I think it's smoking screens. I think with the way the trade went down, they want Deshaun Watson to play this year. The NFL does. The Browns do. The commissioner does work for the owners. I believe that it's smoking screens, that he's going to go to this appeal. The NFL wants to make it look like they're doing the right thing for the public, but in reality, he's going to get 4 games. He's not going to get. He's going to be 6 or 4. And as far as the gaming, the last game I played, honestly, the last video game I played, you guys remember Pong?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. That was the first. That came out in the late 70s.
And it was like
that was that's it.
You were high tech back then, weren't we, Randy?
Yeah.
Oh, Steve-O, what do you got, my man? I know I can just see the wheels of turning there, buddy.
Yeah, man. Back with Deshaun, I'm mad at his situation. He is, in my opinion, up there with Mahomes. Just an amazing, like there's Josh Allen, Mahomes, and Watson. I don't think there's that many guys, and I'm not taking nothing away from what's the name in Arizona. He's a great quarterback, but I think those three kind of separate themselves on that premium top shelf. So I'm agreeing with Randy on that one. That I think it's smoke and mirrors. He's trying to look. The commissioner's trying to look tough to crack down on him, but in reality, they know he's gonna sell more tickets than anybody. The guy's amazing, and I bet they look at him in practice like, what the hell you mean you try to stop this guy from playing? This guy's
that'd be 2 years he hasn't played.
Yeah.
2 years, you can't do that. They're going to give him time served. They're going to suspend a year and give him time served, and then knock off 2 games.
So I'm sitting there because I remember the game I was watching when they played the Chiefs in the playoffs. I'm like, this dude is incredible. He's not good. He's incredible. And I said the same thing about Mahomes, but Mahomes had more plays than he did. So, but anyway, that's that one. The e-gaming I'm still just sick on that one because I grew up with Nintendo and Sega and got cussed out for playing it too late. So, and I'm just sitting here like, now they paying people to do this? And I remember my dad said, if they pay you to do it, then you go ahead and play it. I'm like, well, Dad, guess what? That's exactly what's happening.
I've got something for you off air too, because Caleb, he sent me a message after the fact because where you're located down there in Missouri, some of those schools down there. So we'll talk about that off air. So
yeah, Maryville right up the street. I'm telling you, I'm just like, and I saw he had Parkville, and that's in my town that I live in right here. So that literally I could go right down the street.
We have some ideas that we'll talk about after. I got some. We're spinning in this bald head right here. based upon what I said. So we'll talk about that. So, but anyway, well, my final thoughts are we didn't get a chance to really talk about NIL tonight. I'm going to bring up one topic just because I thought it's kind of funny, this whole thing with NIL. I want to bring up SMU because SMU is paying their athletes now. All I got to say is I bet you Ron Meyer is just probably spinning in his grave right now, thinking about what's compared to when he was coaching and got slapped for it. So it's crazy how times have changed. So utterly amazing. But we'll get more NIL on next week. But this was an interesting show this week. Like I said, talking about Deshaun, I'm with you guys. Smoke and mirrors. Goodell's just trying to put up a front, I think, to make himself look good in the eyes of the public. But I agree with both you and Steve and Coach Hansen there. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But I think you're both pretty. I think you hit the nail on the head. And this gaming thing, we're gonna get Amon Green on. We want to talk a little bit with Amon about what he's doing with this. And this gaming thing is huge. I'm glad we had Caleb on. Really shed a lot of light on this for us. And I think there's some opportunity for us boys at the Simple Playz here with the gaming industry. Let's just put it that way. But I'm excited that football is finally starting. I mean, granted, the preseason's still going, but around the corner, we're going to be hitting her hard. And I'm looking forward to some actual pads hitting for real. None of that preseason stuff. So, other than that, guys, Jeremy, thanks for sticking with us tonight. We appreciate it. Through thick and thin, my man. That's what it's all about here in the Simple Playz. We're a team. But yeah, we're going to be competitive. I'm going to do my darndest to do my best in that league. Okay. But
we shall soon find out.
Yes, we will. I don't want to be the butt of everybody's jokes and be sent up to Flin Flon, Manitoba for losing the league or something in the middle of winter with the polar bears. But
well, that's where you have to go to get the tattoos.
Ayahuasca scholarship.
Hey, don't forget the good old peyote back in the day too.
See, now you're acting like you're in charge of a cult. That's awesome.
Anyway, guys, on that note, we're going to end it for this week on the Simple Playz. Thank you for watching, whether it was live or on the replay. We appreciate it. Without you guys, we wouldn't be doing this. We appreciate the fans. So, as I always say, here at Simple Playz, thanks for watching. So long, everybody.